how was the process getting here to Florida and going through the hiring process with Coach Mullen?
Well, I actually had one of the guys on staff call me and said, Coach brought my name up, and I said, I thought he was kidding at first. I really did. And he said, no, he's serious. Would you be interested? And I said, yes, I would. You know, obviously I've been with Dan before in the University of Florida, the national brand. But yes, and that's how the ball got to rolling, so to speak.
And this is now, you know, the third time that you guys have worked together. What does that say about y'all's relationship, and what is it about Dan that makes you want to work in this program?
Well, you know, I've seen it up close and in person. Obviously, the third time around, I was fortunate when he first got in Mississippi State. He kept me, and also we started to build that relationship. I know what he stands for. I know what type of program he runs. I've seen the success. I know he builds guys up. You know, not just great football players, but good young men. And this opportunity was at the right time, at the right moment, I think, for both of us.
You inherit a defensive line that's losing 3 starters. What's the evaluation process like on your end of evaluating a lot of guys that don't have a lot of starting experience, and where do you really start that process?
Well, I've seen the guys actually do something physical twice, I think. So it's an ongoing process. You know, obviously I don't know. I've watched a little tape. I've seen some guys, and I won't know, you know, fully until we get through spring practice who can do what. It's my job to try to get them all ready to play, to help them, to help those guys develop. I think that's the biggest thing. One of the key things in Dan's program is developing guys. You know, obviously recruiting good players make you a better coach, but once you get them, you got to develop those guys. I've been fortunate to develop some good defensive linemen. They make me a better coach, but obviously it's an ongoing evaluation process to watch those guys, whether it's off-season workout, whether it's spring practice, and then try to figure out what they can or cannot do, and then put them in a position to be successful.
And Dan was pretty adamant last year that when he came in, he didn't want to look back at old film. Is that a philosophy that you share, or do you like looking back at?
I'm looking at it more of the defense and what we're doing. I'm really not looking at it in terms of evaluating guys. You know, if a guy makes a play and it sticks out, obviously you see it. But I told the guys, I said, hey, everybody's starting with a clean slate. You know, I have no motives here. I just want to coach the guys. Guys show up, work hard, but I'm going to help them get better. And so I'm looking at it more for just a scheme and calls and how we adjust certain things and how we line up.
Whether you have lost some guys or not, I mean, Grenard and Zuniga, what kind of experience and talent do those guys give you kind of on the edge?
Well, I know they've played a lot of football in the SEC, and there is no substitute for experience. Obviously, those guys performed at a high level at different times. We just got to try to keep getting a little bit better. You expect the guys who have played, you expect them to lead and be a leader. That's what we need out of the group. We need a kind of an alpha dog to take over and lead the group and lead in the right way. So that's as I get to know the guys, as the guys get to know me. Sometimes you have to kind of push a guy, urge a guy to take that role, and sometimes you have guys to do that. But I think those two guys will be guys that will hopefully lead the front and lead them in the right direction.
What do you like about Todd's scheme?
Well, I know Todd's been successful. I've never worked with him. We've known each other. We got mutual friends. You know, you kind of follow guys in this profession, and you know, as a defensive coach, you're always looking every year to see who performs at a high level on defense, and Todd has been able to do that at a number of different places. So for me personally and professionally, to be a part and get a chance to work with him and be in this defense, I'm excited for.
Just the overall talent level on this defense? I mean, what kind of potential does it have?
You know, I think it's pretty good. You know, obviously they won 10 games last year, and it's hard to do that with bad players. You know, and especially in this league. So I think the talent level is good. You're always trying to increase your talent level and get out and recruit. You know, I really don't know. I can't sit here and judge it based on who, Alabama or based on Georgia or whatever. We just got to get the best players we can get, develop them, coach them hard, and get them going.
Was it strange being out of the SEC last season, and how comforting or welcoming is it to be back?
Well, I'm laughing. Actually, it was. It was a little different. Being in the SEC for so long, I don't know if that's good or bad. But anyway, it was a little different, you know, and sometimes you catch yourself, you start talking about the SEC, and I remember we're sitting around as a staff sometimes, and we have the age-old argument of what league is the best league. Is it the SEC? Is it the Big 12? Is it the ACC? I'm still a little biased. I think the SEC from top to bottom is the best league in America. It's the best, and the SEC West is probably everybody thinks is a little bit ahead of the SEC East. I probably beg to differ now. But, you know, it is, and it's great to be back in this league. You want to do it at the highest level, and obviously the SEC is that league.
How'd you end up at UT San Antonio? Was it just the connection with Frank, or?
That's exactly what it was. You know, every job I've had has been because, and it's like any business, I think, it's been because of who you know. You know, I think this day and age with college head coaches, they're very leery of hiring someone they do not know or having a friend who knows them that they trust recommending. So Coach Wilson was actually, Dan had hired him actually at Mississippi State for a brief moment. Now, you can get two varying stories. I said Frank stayed for about 5 days. He said it was about 2 weeks. So I'm not sure which one it was, but we had actually worked together at Mississippi State. So when everything went down at A&M and Frank called me, I said, well, it was, number one, it was good to be able to go somewhere where you know a guy, and obviously didn't have to move very far.
Hey, but what do you think of Chris Bogle, the type of player that he is, and how was that relationship that you had to build with him in short order?
Well, Chris is more of an outside backer type, I think, coming in. So his relationship was more with Todd. I got a chance to meet him and his family. They were here, I think, last week. So I had a chance to meet him briefly, but his relationship was more with Todd and coming in as an outside back, and I think that's probably where we'll start him out and utilize him.
And then, you know, with that, as far as the defensive line, especially with what Todd Grantham likes to do in his scheme, what are the specifics that you look for in your tackles and ends?
Well, obviously, you're looking for athletes. You're looking for guys who can run, and that's why, if you look nationally, when you have defensive linemen that are very highly ranked coming out of high school, everybody in the country is recruiting them because it's hard to find big athletic guys. Guys who can run, guys who like contact, guys who play with relentless effort. So that's, you know, we're all looking for the same thing, big athletic guys. And in this league, I think the difference is up front in the SEC where offensive and defensive lines where you really have to have some grown men, so to speak, playing up front to be able to hold up week in and week out.